times the same thing. Mao, Stalin, Hitler. Okay? They needed one thing to kill the millions of people they did. One thing. And that's big government. Full control and full gun control.
Yeah.
But they don't want you to think about that. They don't want to talk about that. They want us to be bickering and fighting about all the dumb things, about all the little things. They're hoping that we'll focus on all the social issues. So we'll fight and bicker amongst each other. So we don't take a good hard look at our own government. And this is why there's an attempt to glorify hatred for who we really are as a country. And to vilify us, the patriots, as bigoted, sexist, and racist, or whatever. But the good news is that most of us see right through it. Most of us. Okay? But while we see through it, we still remain silent. Not today, okay? But we still remain silent. And those who scream racist and sexist are always the loudest. But they do not represent the majority. The majority remains silent, unfortunately, aka the silent majority. And while we hear those who are the loudest all the time, we begin to think that that is the norm. And that's why we feel like we've lost this country sometimes. Okay, but I'm here to tell you we haven't lost this country. There is hope. Okay, you look around you, there's hope everywhere. The only problem is that the hope remains silent. Okay? And I know what the majority wants. The majority wants freedom. I don't care who you are. Everybody wants freedom. Freedom is beautiful. Freedom is in the middle. It is not extreme. It is not extreme right. Okay? It is freedom. And the majority is like me. Whether you know it or not, the majority is like me because I want to live my life free from politicians hundreds of miles away telling me how to live my life. Meddling in our daily activities. Telling us how to run our local businesses. Telling us what kind of cakes we can or cannot bake. Are you kidding me? Telling our schools that boys have a right to shower with our daughters. Telling our teachers what to teach our children and telling me that I should feel guilty because of the color of my skin. I'm not going to feel guilty because of the color of my skin. I am not going to do it. I am done. The government is always trying to get involved in our business, telling us that they will solve our problems. Okay? Well, let me tell you something, Hillary. We don't need you or your worthless, spoiled, over-regulated, overtaxed criminal government. Democrats always try to sell the people that they will solve our problems. They will solve our problems if we just give them a little bit more money and a little bit more power. Incremental suicide, when does it stop? Now. We don't need or want a government that tries to solve our problems. Every single time the government tries to solve a problem, one problem, they spend $1 million of our money. They pass 100 laws, okay? And then they create 100 problems on the way. And on top of that, they spend $100 million more just trying to clean up the mess that they made. For the first time since Reagan, I believe we have the potential to have a president that truly understands that government is not the solution. Government is the problem. And Mr. Trump wants us to rise up, and he wants us to build business, and he wants us to get rich, not through the help or the handout of government, but by getting government out of the way. And decreasing taxes and regulation is a staple to his economy. The elites have teamed up and they have bought the politicians and the lawmakers so they can increase taxes and increase regulation so that normal people like you and me cannot rise up and compete. The massive rich will be just fine because they can buy the lawyers and they can read through the thousands of pages of complicated laws, regulations, and tax code. These corporate machines have the ability to jump through hoops and find loopholes that we'll never be able to do. Trump understands this. As a businessman, he understands this. And he wants a smaller government that will get out of the way of American businesses. He is sick of the money-burning idiots in Washington, D.C., and he will slim it down just like how you run a business. Humans are beautiful creatures with hearts that just glow. When we don't have people with their boots on our necks, we can do amazing things. Each and every single one of you here in this crowd can do something amazing, okay? Do not sell the human spirit short. And that is the difference between a liberal who wants big government and a conservative who wants small government. Some people inherently believe that humans need to be put on a leash. Called to heel, according to Hillary. not me. I believe we need to be set free. Let us go. Let us debate. Let us create. Let us imagine. Let us talk freely without the worry of guilt or shame. Do not control my words. Do not control my vocabulary. It is not the role of the government to protect our feelings. It is not the role of the government to shelter us from uncomfortable situations. These are opportunities for us to grow as people. Now let me say one quick thing about Hillary before I finish up here. Hillary champions herself as an advocate for women, someone who fights for women's rights. Yeah, it's seriously, it's a joke. Okay? Well, hey, Hillary, let me give you a piece of advice, okay? Before you start worrying about all the women in this world, like my own daughter, okay? Why don't you start with the women that you've silenced and threatened, who have been sexually assaulted by your disgusting husband? Why don't you start by apologizing to the women for enabling and covering up for that sexual predator you call your husband? By the way, if you're a true feminist, you better stand against Hillary and the money that she's taking from Saudi Arabia. You better stand against that. Feminists complain about stay-at-home moms. Okay, in Saudi Arabia, women cannot leave the house without permission and presence of a male family member. Women cannot vote, they cannot show their faces, they cannot drive because they are slaves. And even worse, you get your head, hey, and listen, there's a million things you can talk about gays and them getting thrown off buildings and the way they treat people, okay? But Hillary, why have you remained silent on that one? Does it have something to do with the millions of dollars that you've received from Saudi Arabia? Do you think? So Hillary, if you're a true champion for women's rights, I ask that you give that money back and you speak out about the way that Saudi Arabian men treat women. Or is it too xenophobic to stand up for women's rights in a Muslim country? So Hillary, you're filled with so many complicated contradictions, it makes me dizzy. Don't talk to me about racism or sexism. Don't talk to me about character or morals. I will take that up with God, because God makes a lot more sense to me than you ever will. And when I look in my own heart, sincerely, when I look in my own heart and I pray, okay, I know for a fact that Donald Trump will be a million times better than Hillary could even ever imagine to be for this country. So I will support Trump with all my heart. A man who wants to set us free regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of your gender, regardless of your tax bracket, and regardless of what you believe. All of us need to come together. We need to stand up for the man that we know is exactly what our country needs. A man of strength, a man of honesty. Someone who will say what needs to be said regardless of your feelings. We are not at a point in our country where sensitivity can be the #1 priority. If the ship is sinking, you do not walk around quietly telling people the ship is sinking. You run around like a madman, yelling and screaming. You say the ship is sinking because you care. It's that simple. So we cannot stand around in silence, afraid of Hillary and Hillary supporters. It doesn't mean you're disrespectful to Hillary supporters. It's not their fault. It means you're not afraid of them, okay? You gotta walk around with your Trump shirts. You gotta show it. We all need to put the bumper stickers on our cars, wear the t-shirts, put the sign in your yard. Sign up for opportunities to wave flags and go on marches, okay? Be a Paul Revere of the 21st century. Be a hero, okay? People always make fun of me when I say stuff like that, okay? Like, you're not gonna make a difference. Well, if you try and you make any kind of small difference, you are a hero. So you can't just sit back and vote in the comfort and privacy of your own house. If you support Trump, you need to show it and let the angry social justice warriors come up and have a meltdown. But then you can talk to them, okay? You can talk to them and you can explain this isn't a fight, okay? We aren't against each other. I want you to be free. I want you to have the right to say what you want. I want you to have the right to have an opinion. I want you to have the right to keep crying as much as you're crying. But people are deceiving you. so they can keep and increase their power. And they're freaking out about Donald Trump because they know that he's going to take the power away from the elites and give it back to the Americans the way it's meant to be. Thank you.